Welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk about the Masters of the Universe Revelations 1987 movie version of Skeletor. Now this is the Frank Angela version of Skeletor, and let me tell you something. Did they capture his essence and the way he actually looked in the movie? Most definitely they did with this figure. But before we get into talking about Skeletor himself, let's get into taking a look at some of the accessories that this guy comes with. So starting off, this guy comes with an open hand and a fist. And he also has two gripping hands so he can hold his weapons. Next, I want to talk about the cosmic key that he comes with. Beautifully done. I like the way they did the gold, the red, the strap on the side of the cosmic key, all the little keys that like opened up for when you hit the buttons on the side for it to actually come out and start spinning around to open up the portals. Really nice, nicely done, great addition. This here coming with the figure itself is just a great addition all on its own. Next we have Skeletor's sword, and it's really actually pretty cool the way they did this, because this is the evil version of He-Man's sword. So if you actually take a look at He-Man's, it's kind of like this. It's different, but it doesn't have the skull on it the way that they have here. I mean, that is nicely done, but it still has the same type of crest. So this would have been like, you know, back in the day when you had the original Master of the Universe figures, how they had the two different swords. Skeletor's was purple, He-Man's was actually silver, and then you could put them both together to make the complete sword. That's kind of what this is a like throwback to, or reminiscence of that. At least in my opinion it is. I like the way they did the blade. Nice blade. It's not bent. It's not all kind of warped out of shape. I like the blood groove in the middle. Very well done. And especially the way they did this handle. I like the way the texture is on this handle. It almost feels kind of like a velvet when you're touching it, even though it's just all plastic. And the pommel itself, nicely done. It would have been cool if it had a skull on it, but I don't think the movie one ever did. So yeah, but the detail that these guys put on here, that is very well done. Very well done. And if you actually look, there's some sort of writing in there. So that's actually pretty cool. Right in the middle. I don't know what it says. I don't know if you guys can make it out. But yeah. That's actually pretty cool. Next, we have the movie version of the Havoc staff. And make no mistake, no matter how many times you see the difference of the different forms of Skeletor throughout the lore, his Havoc staff has always had that ram's head in it. Now this one here, I thought it was really cool the way they did it for the actual movie. Kind of has these tusks that come down here attached to the skull itself, and then this other stuff coming out of the back, which attaches to the actual staff. He has like a spearhead at the top, but look at that ram's head. Very nice, beautiful detail, very well done. And if you flip it around, it has a crystal in the back. But I love the way that they did this, because you actually have, it's weaponized, you know. I mean, not just for the simple fact of him using his magic and blasting, but the fact that it actually has a spear at the end. Moving down the staff, where you have this collar right here where it attaches to the actual staff itself. You have the studs here, and then coming down you have another set of studs, and this is all painted in black with some more studs going down, and then they actually have the actual tip of the staff with a little tiny ball at the end. But this movie version of this Havoc staff is really cool. I like it. The 2000X version is different. The original one is different. But they all have the same thing, and it has that ram's head on it. And this one just has some beautiful and some gorgeous detail that they put in on it. All right, so let's get into talking about Skeletor himself. Now this figure here, I have to say that the way they did him is just fantastic. Now, when it comes down to this figure, it's the same articulation of Revelations that you get with all the different figures. The only difference is that he has less head articulation. But what I want to show off is, look at that head sculpt. If that doesn't capture the essence of the movie or Frank Angela himself in the makeup, I don't know what does, but that is fabulous. And look, you can still see his vampire teeth in there as well, just like you can in the 2000X version. Like I always said, you know, he is Hordak's minion, saved by Hordak. Hordak's a vampire, of course, and yet that's what he turned kind of Skeletor into, gave him those vampire teeth, but it's a skull instead. Anyway, you want a version of the Grim Reaper, here you have one, and this is him. Very cool looking. I like the way they did the armor, the purple, everything. But what I really want to talk about is, before we get into looking at articulation and stuff, the way they took the time for the detail in the gauntlets on his wrist, for all the mechanics that he had, right? Because Skeletor had some mechanics on the gauntlets in the movie and everything else. So yeah, I mean, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Same thing with like on the knuckles of the gloves, of his hands, and then moving down. So here's another cool thing. The belt, that's a face. And I've always thought that it was the movie version of Hordak's face, like what Skeletor has on his belt, like in the cartoon and stuff. That would be the version of Hordak's face, but it doesn't really come through as good as it did like in the movie. And then if you actually really take a look, and I hope this is coming through in the camera, look at all the little skulls that come down. Now, I don't remember all that being on him, on his attire, all these different skulls, but it actually changes. Like these actually change right here to something else, more like kind of something of Snake Mountain. But yeah, all the way down on both sides, nothing but skulls. And then when you get down here to this lower half of his attire, you have a bunch of stuff going on in here. You got skulls, you have faces, looks like arrows. I couldn't tell you all the stuff that's in there, but it's actually really cool. This looks like a Medusa head, kind of. I don't know if it's coming through. That looks like the front of like a part of Snake Mountain. Then you have some like scarabs, spiders, really cool stuff. And then this down here reminds me of the wolf part of Snake Mountain, or Hordak's face, which one that's supposed to be or represent. But then you have another set down here of like a lion, so on and so forth. Really cool stuff that they put in onto this guy. All right, so now let's get that out of the way. Now that that's out of the way, I should say, let's get in and take a look at his articulation. So his head can turn side to side. The reason why he doesn't have a whole lot of head tilt or movement for looking up and looking down is because of this plastic piece here that goes around. And also on the back, he has a jewel on the back here. He has a cloth cape, very nice. But as far as his movement, the armor doesn't really get in the way. You can still move his arm out. He still has his bicep swivel. He has double jointed arms. They're gonna bend that far. And then he has his wrist movement. So he has his swivel. And then his hands move up and down, at least on this arm. This side here, they move side to side on the wrist. He has a upper torso swivel, so you can get a little bit of an ab crunch, and then he can turn at the waist. And this is cool because this actually, you can actually remove this belt if you wanted to. It has a clip. Then moving down to the legs, he has an upper thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees. With this here, yes, it is hard to get out of the way because it's a hard plastic kind of. It's not really soft. Double jointed knees, and then he has a boot cut. So a boot swivel, I should say, not boot cut, but it is cut at the boot. And again, another skull right there. And then you have his ankle articulation where his foot can move back this far, move forward, and then come down to his ankle rocker, which is really generous. All right, let me get this guy settled, and I will give my closing thoughts on this guy here. And yeah, so give me a second. Okay, so my final thoughts with this guy is, look, I'm a big Skeletor fanatic. I like Skeletor. I think he is awesome. Look, I like He-Man. He is my dude as well when it comes down to the Masters of the Universe. I like a lot of characters in the Master of the Universe, but when it comes down to my ultimate favorite, Skeletor has always been and always will be my favorite out of all. So I have pretty much almost every Skeletor that's ever been made. So yeah, I I dig it. I think it's cool. The character, I think that let's be real. We all know that the the 87 movie was kind of whatever, but the coolest thing about it was seeing Skeletor alive. At least for me it was. But there's a lot better things than the way this movie was done. Would I like to see a new movie in the future? That would be awesome. Somebody that get their hands on the Masters of the Universe property and actually make a great movie with it. Don't get me wrong, in 1987, you know, look, they did what they could do back then. Now, they have so much more that they could do. And the cool thing about it is, like, look, I know back in the day, back in the 80s, the way the cartoon was, Skeletor was a certain way. Yeah, he was really verbally abusive more than he was physically abusive. Then you get to 2000X, and he's not so much of a pushover, right? You know, not some guy who's just running off the mouth, talking smack, always knocking his warriors and stuff like that, or calling King Randor a boob or whatever the case, right? So his voice went from something like this to, you know, something a little bit more darker, right? As far as in the 2000X series, which I thought was really cool. Now Revelations, you know what? Look, I seen it, I watched it, and it is what it is. I mean, you know, Skeletor sounding like the Joker just really didn't work for me, but I did watch it. I'm not going to get into all that nonsense, but the 2000X series and the original Skeletor, as far as the cartoons, love them. Love them, love them, love them. But anyway, listen, if you don't have a Skeletor, you need a Skeletor, you want a Skeletor, look, we got this movie version. I want a New Eternia version. I missed out on the 2-pack of Mattel. So, okay, I don't have every Skeletor ever made because I don't have that one. Let me correct myself, so I do apologize. But anyway, look, is he worth the money? Yeah, he's not expensive. He's reasonable. He's very well done. You're not going to get him into some huge articulated pose or whatever the case is, but to get him in a rocking pose like this, to put on a shelf, your Masters of the Universe shelf, yeah, it's going to rock, man. So with that being said, guys, look, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little short and sweet. I have nobody out to compare, but I just want to do this review. Here you go. From 1987, Frank Agella, Masters of the Universe, Revelations, Skeletor. Here he is in all his beautiful glory. And I love the detail, the time that they took to put such detail into this figure. I have to give him kudos for that, man. Beautiful, beautiful work. Okay, you could pop his head off, you could take that other lower part of the cape off, and you'll get some more articulated stuff, but it looks kind of funky with the high shoulder pads and stuff like that on there for his armor. So he looks great the way that he is. He's going to go on my shelf sitting like that with the cosmic key, and that's that. Anyway, guys, now I will end this review. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and always leave a comment down below. Please hit the notification bell so you never miss out on anything new. And guys, I just have to say once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time out to watch these videos and commenting and everything. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. That's why I keep doing these videos, and you guys keep coming back and watching them. We keep getting new subscribers, and we get subscribers that leave. And thank you to those guys too as well for taking the time out from when they were here. So anyway, with that being said, guys, thank you. And as always, I will catch you all on the flippity flip.